Hi everyone. I'm having a nice relaxed day at home with Vincent today. We're both getting over a head cold that sadly came to us. It is still we're still just getting into spring in New England. It's been a really, really long winter, and so it seems like a lot of us in the local community are all sick still. So Vincent and I are getting better, and so we have a day at home, and I'm going to get my hair cut tonight. So it's just a really special, beautiful day. And I have a list of reviews to get to that I wanted to get done before I really step into the Sacred Feminine series, which will begin later this week. But the deck that I wanted to review for you guys today is the Night Sun Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. I did not keep the box, guys. You know, I never do that just because I prefer to recycle them. It just takes up too much space in my house, and I don't store my decks in their boxes unless it's Blue Angel. Okay, so the instructions are by Fabio Lestrani. The translations are by whatever, Studio RGE. The art tarot collection is edited by Pietro Eligio, and so I'm guessing that's where the art's coming from. I'm not quite sure about that. That's a little confusing for me, but that's the rundown on who created the deck, I guess. So this is the Little White Book. It's a traditional Scarabeo deck. You're not going to get hardly anything out of the Little White Book. The interesting thing about this, though, is I did read the little intro portion, which I was actually very glad that I did, because I did get a lot out of reading the intro section. And the focus on this deck is really an occult shadow work side of things. So it's a darker themed deck, but it's all computer generated images. So it's not giving you like the feel that a darker themed deck steeped in occultism, such as the Mary L. Tarot or the Tarot of the Vampires deck, is going to give you. This deck is more of that photo manipulation, computer generated type of a look, which, as you guys know, is not my favorite deck to work with. So this deck came out pretty recently. I think I bought it in January, if I remember right, and it's April now as of the time of this recording. And I saw a few pictures online, and I was like, okay, that doesn't interest me, I'm not going to get it. But I kept coming back to the image of, I believe it's the Magician, and I couldn't, let me see if I can find it. I was really, really drawn to that image. And I was like trying to pep talk myself out of buying the deck. I'm like, don't do it. You're never going to use it. You're not good. This is it. It is the Magician. It was this image that I saw online. I was just like saying to myself, don't do this. You're not going to use this deck. It's going to be one of the ones that you end up gifting. And I love gifting, but I'm at the point in my deck collecting where I actually want to have decks that I use and that I'm choosing to invest in that have a different way of looking at things that I'm wanting to purchase from this point in my collecting on. And I've talked about that before. I'm really trying to do a lot of indie decks and decks that have a beautifully thought out focus or intention by the creators of the decks themselves. So I really tried to talk myself out of buying this deck, but I just couldn't help it. And I have to say to you guys that I'm really glad that I purchased this deck, and I actually end up using it a lot more than I thought I would. And at this point in time, I don't have any intentions of giving this deck away. It's one that's staying in my collection. So I think a lot of that is that it's darker themed, and you'll see when I show you the images, the manipulation of the artwork itself isn't as extreme or just over the top as a lot of the decks that I dislike tend to be. So there is a feeling with this deck of darkness, of shadow work, that I find really melds itself well into my practice and my reading style as well. So I'm definitely enjoying working with this deck, and it's one that I'm going to continue working with. And if you're someone who collects darker themed decks, or you work with darker themed decks, or if you're someone who's stepping into shadow work in your personal life at this time, then you might find after looking at some of these images that this is a deck that you're going to want to add to your collection, or that you're going to want to invest in as a deck to read with. I think for the most part that this is a deck that is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith system, and so if you are new to tarot, you could use this as a starter deck. I think you can, you know, using this deck with a book on Introduction to Tarot. So I would recommend Tarot 101 by Kim Huggins. That's the book for new beginners to tarot that I would most highly recommend. It's Tarot 101 by Kim Huggins. 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack is like the tarot Bible, and is a wonderful book to start with as well. So, you know, if you're using it in conjunction with a book like that, I think you'll get a lot out of it. And because there are a lot of Kabbalistic references in this deck, there's a lot of occult symbolism in this deck as well. If you're someone who really likes to sink your teeth into that type of material and study, this is a deck that's a great gateway into doing that. And if you're someone who's new to that stuff and feeling like you might want to explore it, this deck can be a great introduction to occult symbolism and working with occult energy, but still aligned enough with the Rider-Waite-Smith system that you can use the deck if you feel like the occultism isn't really your thing. So this is the backing for the deck. I really love this backing, guys. It's a traditional Scarabeo size, which is not my favorite, but the really nice thing with this deck is that they got rid of all of the other languages that you see in most Scarabeo decks. So there'll be like 4 different languages for each, you know, for the keyword for the card on each card, which takes up a lot of space, and they have eliminated that with this deck, and I think that that's a positive. So it's very happy to see that. You will see in the corner of each card on the backing, and then when you're looking at the other side, are occult symbols. And you can, in the little white book, they talk a little bit about the symbols, but you're really going to need another book to assist you in that process, or study with another person to assist you if you have no knowledge of that. And you can see here the symbolism for, oh, I'm sorry, there's only 2 at the top for the sun. So you can see that the symbolism, the occult symbolism, is included in each card. So like here's the cups, and you can see the symbolism that's included up there. So I'm sorry, not in the 4 corners for the cards themselves, on the backing for the 4 corners you've got symbolism. So I really like that, and I think it's a plus, and it's a positive thing to this deck. And it's something exciting to work with if you are new to symbolism, just to see how it feels, how the symbolisms work, how they feel, how it feels in relation to the tarot system itself as well. So I'm going to start by showing you the cards that I really liked in this deck, the ones that really spoke to me, and then I'm going to show you some that I didn't like, because this is more of a computer-generated photo manipulation type of deck, and as you guys know, that's not my favorite, so there are definitely some cards that I really dislike the images on in this deck. Here's the 10 of Wands, but these are the images that I like. So symbolism is carried throughout the deck, so you'll see the broken egg here, and you see that egg, and I believe it's the World, and in the Fool as well. So they've got symbolism continued throughout the deck, which is really cool in my opinion. I'm always excited when I see that. I love that attention to detail, and a lot of times with these types of decks, I feel like they just phoned it in and it was about making money, but in this case I feel like there was attention to detail given. Here's the 6 of Pentacles. So as you can see, the color scheme runs the gamut, but it's in this really very interesting faded type of show. Excuse me. And that didn't make any sense because I'm just not making any sense right now, but the colors themselves are faded, and so they do give you that feeling of a darker themed deck. Like say Barbara Moore's Steampunk Tarot or Tarot of the Vampires. The colors are kind of faded and muted, and lend themselves well to a darker themed deck. So you're definitely going to get that from this deck. This is the 9 of Cups. So with this, I really love that we've got the Tetragrammaton, we've got this newborn in utero, We've got the flowers. It's just, I love the symbolism in this image, and I think they've done it in this way that it doesn't blare out to you what they're trying to show. It's just, it's kind of like as you look at it, you start seeing more and more the birth, the death, the rebirth, the idea of all possibilities, that kind of thing. And I really like that about the Nine of Cups in this card, in this deck. This is the Nine of Swords. So again, same thing. They've taken, you know, just the swords themselves, but they're able to say a lot with what they've done. And I think the use of the color red in this deck is really one of my favorite things. I really like this deck, and I don't know why. I shouldn't really, but I do. So you can see here with the Seven of Wands, they're getting the picture across without having to do a lot to let you know what they're trying to say, which I appreciate. Two of Wands here. The deck has a really masculine theme to it, and that's interesting as well, and I don't have a lot of decks in my collection like that. So, and I said this about the Gods and Titans Oracle, I actually really appreciate that when I have a masculine themed deck that I can bring in, because we all need to create that balance. And so I think that having a feminine themed decks is a huge plus. You all know that I am right on board with that, and that's a huge part of my life. But I think that there is space for sacred masculine as well, and so I love it when I've got some decks that carry that energy, especially when I'm reading for people and I know that there's more of an active energy that needs to be brought in. Here is the Fool. Sorry, I'm like busy looking at it myself, because I really like this deck for the most part, guys. So whereas like tarot, the Vampires Tarot of the Eternal Night, or you guys know which one I'm talking about, like I can't stand the photo work in that deck. That is a deck that I like detest, and I in fact have it wrapped up to gift away, and I just can't, like, it's so bad that I don't even know if I want to gift it. This deck doesn't give me that feeling. So if you had a similar feeling with decks like that, The Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan, I just can't read with that deck because of the artwork. I mean, the guidebook is amazing, but I can't read with that deck. This deck does not, I'm sorry guys, this is Judgment. This deck doesn't give me that feeling. So, and again, we're still on decks the cards from this deck that I'm enjoying. Here's the Lovers. So this is a more Marseille way of looking at the Lovers, which I found interesting. The Devil. I like the Devil in this one. And again, you can see the use of the colors. Here's the Ace of Pentacles. The Moon is fascinating. Three of Swords. Always a card image that's important to me in any deck. Really like this one. Four of Wands. So you can see all that symbolism in there. You can see the Tree of Life. It's the symbolism is right on. It's great. Here is the Ace of Wands. Justice, which I usually don't like in many tarot decks, I actually like in this one. Here's the Magician again. Here is the Hanged Man. Four of Swords. Sorry, guys. Couldn't make it. Here is the World. Very good one. Love this representation. Eight of Wands. This is going to be a long video. Eight of Swords. Page of Cups. The Hermit. Ten of Swords. Really like this one a lot. And the Tower. This image of the Tower reminds me of Revelation, that entire Bible book, when I was having to read it growing up. This type of coloring, this type of feel is exactly how I would interact with the book of Revelations. So this whole thing right here, they just got it for me, and I loved it. So I really like that card image. So here are the images that I wasn't in love with. Here is where that type of photo manipulation just doesn't work for me. Queen of Swords. I feel like I lose something in the fakeness of the image, in my opinion. The Emperor. Two of Swords. Ace of Swords. I mean, I like the Ace of Swords. It's good. It's just not like, the star is like probably my least favorite image, guys. Like, really. This one does not work well for me. Seven of Swords, I almost like it. There's just something that, well, here's the egg again, guys, for one thing. But there's just something about, like, his feet. Do you see that? In his face, that just, it's so hard for me to look at that card and not. Six of Cups. This is just, again, where that type of look just doesn't work for me. Same thing with the Empress. Like, what the heck? Two of Pentacles. Again, it's like video game, like, I don't know. Ugh. Not my favorite, even though I like the way she's stepping on the two Pentacles. Same thing with the Queen of Cups. Three of Cups. Okay, the little baby angels. There are a few cards where it doesn't bother me. This one just like, ugh. I don't know why, but I just don't like it. Knight of Cups. Just not quite there for me. Eight of Cups. It's okay. It's more just like her face and something about, I don't know, something just doesn't quite work for me with that. That's just totally a personal thing. Eight of Pentacles. And again, it's more like the face, like his face. See, that just is it just doesn't quite do it for me. I mean, I don't hate it, it just doesn't do it for me. Page of Pentacles, whatever. And I don't know, what didn't I like about this one? It's been a weird move when I put this one in here. I actually like this one, so I'm sorry. Nine of Pentacles should go in the one that I like. That's going in my like pile. King of Cups, however, is the last image that just didn't really do it for me, and it's more about just the way that the human looks in the image. It's very simulated and just is not my favorite. So for me, this deck is definitely a keeper. It's one that I really, really enjoy working with, especially in its genre, which I typically wouldn't work with this type of artwork. Sorry, guys. I actually really, for the most part, I mean, you can see that there's a larger pile of cards that I really like as opposed to cards that didn't do it for me. And then there was a whole section of cards that I thought were just fine. So I actually really enjoy working with this deck. I have to say, and I'm really sad to say this, but Scarabeo's cardstock, which I used to find really lacking, is now better than Blue Angel's. And that makes me really sad that I have to say that Blue Angel Publishing's cardstock has just been really bad lately. They have really downgraded on their cardstock, which is sad to me, but Scarabeo's is pretty good, especially for this one. So if cardstock is an issue for you, I would say that you're not going to be too disappointed with this one. Scarabeo's cardstock's gotten slightly better over the years. It's still not the best, but I can certainly read. You can see that I've been reading with this deck quite a bit, and there's no major scratching. The cards don't fall all over the place. I have no complaints about the cardstock at all. And I really love the backing to this deck, guys.